In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to remove a person from a photo using a really cool feature inside Photoshop called Content Aware Fill. So, for example, let's say we had a group photo like this, right? And for whatever reason, we decided that we no longer want to be friends with him, right? So we, bam, just like that, take him out of the photo. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Of course, I'm not encouraging any form of bad living with anybody. I'm just mentioning that as a little joke. All right, so let me show you how we go about doing this. All right, so I'm going to delete these layers. All right, so this is the starting photo, right? So this technique is very, very simple, especially when we approach it using the content aware fill. So first, we want to ensure that we select the layer that has the photo on it. So it's this layer 1 here, and we're going to go up to any one of our selection tools. In this case, I'm going to use the lasso tool. So the goal here is to just make a selection around the subject or the item or object or person that we actually want to remove from the photo. So in this case, it's this gentleman here, and of course we have to be very selective of when we use this effect, right? So this gentleman is almost to himself. There isn't a lot of overlapping, and there's a bit of background around him that the tool or the tool will use to actually fill in the areas here. All right, so as we do this, we'll see how this works. So we're going to make a selection around him, and we want to leave a bit of space. So I'm not going exactly on his outline, but more so extending it out. So let me go again with this. I think I need to see him. So outline doesn't have to be a very perfect one, and we can always go back and fine tune it. All right, so we're approaching the sofa area. We'll zoom in here and refine that area shortly. All right, so bam, so we have a nice outline going on around this gentleman. So for the sofa area here, because we don't want the tool to play too much play around with this area here, we want to make this area a little bit more refined. So I'm going to still go here and ensure that it's on that. See where we have a little overlapping here, so I'm going to choose the subtract from selected area so that we can get rid of that excessive overlap. We can go again. All right, I see some overlapping here, so we're getting rid of this as well. All right, so this looks good enough, right? So there we have a nice little selection of the gentleman, with what we would call bleed, right, or extension. So ensure that the layer is selected. Then we want to go up to edit and then content aware fill. So we're going to click this, and it's giving us a little preview of what will happen. So once we're happy with that, we hit OK, and bam, the gentleman is gone. So Control D to deselect. But as you can see, it's not perfect. We can see some a little bit stuff going on here that does not look so right? So the tool is not perfect, so we would need to combine other tools with this to maybe refine it even more, right? But this did a pretty good job at looking around to see what wall textures, what ground textures are needed to fill in these areas. So what you can do from here, you can hold Control Shift Alt and E, and when you press that, you get a new flattened layer, right? That has the new image, almost as if this was what it was originally. And then we can use a tool like, for example, the spot healing brush. And we can go and we can brush onto some areas and see how well this works. Right, so we can brush some areas. As you can see, this is doing a pretty good job too. Right, we brush this area as well. Right, so we have this the wall looking pretty good. And then now we can use maybe even the clone stamping tool, and let's reduce the size. I'm using the square brackets to reduce the size, the left square bracket, and I'm ensuring that the softness is a little higher of the brush. Right, and then we're going to hold Alt and choose a point, and then we can sort of refine our sofa. Don't worry about here, because we can always use the spot healing brush to get rid of these defined lines. I'm just trying to get the sofa to look just right. If we need, we can reduce the size of the brush. Right, so the sofa looks pretty good. So we have this line. So all we need to do now is just jump back to our spot healing brush, and then maybe we can just brush onto that line, and it did a pretty good job at getting rid of it. So our sofa looks good and our wall looks good. And down here we can see that we're not seeing where the wall meets the ground for some sections here. So to fix that, we're going to use the clone stamping tool again. I'm going to increase the size. In this case, I'm going to also reduce the hardness so that we have some feathered edges. Right, so I'm going to Alt click a point just like what we did before. And for this, I'm being careful to line up the wall. And this looks pretty good so far. All right, so this is how we removed this person from the photo. And unless you're very detailed or you're pixel peeping, you would have never known that a person was actually in the photo. So let me just drag this to the top. So this is a before and this is after. Pretty cool. And of course, this technique works for many other situations. If you have persons at a park, all right, let's do this real quick for this little girl. So I've done it and I've gotten rid of the little girl here simply by just outlining in a similar way, paying keen attention to where the hands join, making an outline, going up to edit, then content aware fill, and bam, we were able to remove the little girl. And it did a pretty good job at filling in the leaves and even some parts of the tree to make it look very real, right? So unless you were paying a keen attention to this, maybe you would think that the guy had maybe a rag in his hand or a ball in his hand and they was walking. You would have never known that a little girl was actually there. So if you found this video to be helpful, please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and of course drop a comment in the comment section. And until next time, peace out and take care.